Welcome back to the channel, Rare Coins History, coin lovers and treasure hunters from all around the world. Today's journey takes us deep into the heart of American coin history, where the smallest coin, the humble 1 cent, becomes a legend. We're about to dive into the fascinating world of the 1966 Lincoln penny. At first glance, it looks just like any other cent you've held in your hand, slipped into a vending machine, or tossed into a fountain for luck. But don't be fooled, because hiding among the ordinary are rare versions of this coin that could be worth a small fortune. Yes, you heard that right. One of the most basic coins in US currency could be the key to unlocking life-changing value, especially if you've got a sharp eye, a little luck, and one of the rare 1966 Lincoln pennies with extraordinary minting features. Let's take a step back in time to understand what makes this year, and this coin, so important. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909. Commemorating the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln. It was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, and the design has lasted over a century. Victor D. Brenner's profile of Lincoln on the obverse side became iconic, instantly recognizable across generations. Fast forward to 1966, a time of transformation and tension in the United States. The country was deep in the era of the Vietnam War, civil rights movements were rising, and the world of coin collecting was shifting in a major way. Just 2 years prior, in 1964, the U.S. Mint faced a national coin shortage due to hoarding of silver coins. To combat this, in 1965, the government suspended mint marks on coins to discourage collectors from targeting specific mints. That policy carried into 1966. So what does that mean for our Lincoln penny? It means that even though the 1966 penny was minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, the U.S. Mint did not include mint marks on any of the pennies produced that year. This policy makes identifying the exact origin of a 1966 penny a little tricky, and for collectors, a lot more intriguing. But here's where the story takes a sharp and exciting turn. While the 1966 Lincoln penny may appear common, with over 2.1 billion coins produced, there are a handful of these coins that carry extraordinary value. And we're not just talking about their age or beauty. We're talking about rare mint errors, unusual planchets, and exceptional grading conditions that turn an everyday cent into a coveted collector's prize. Let's explore some of the features that make certain 1966 pennies so valuable. Double die errors. Imagine looking at a coin and seeing Lincoln's eye appear twice, or the word Liberty looking blurry or ghosted. That's called a double die error, and it happens when the die used to strike the coin is slightly misaligned between impressions. The result? A beautiful mistake, and one that collectors will pay top dollar to own. Off-center strikes. When a coin isn't perfectly aligned during the minting process, it can result in a strike where part of the design is missing, cut off, or dramatically shifted to one side. Some 1966 pennies have been found with 30%, 50%, or even 75% off-center strikes, and these errors can make the coin extremely valuable. Clipped planchets. These are coins that were struck on metal blanks that were accidentally clipped or cut incorrectly. A crescent-shaped curve or a straight edge may be visible on the side of the coin, and that unusual shape can make your penny unique. Wrong planchet strikes. Here's where things get even more interesting. Some 1966 pennies were accidentally struck on foreign coin planchets or on blanks meant for dimes or other denominations. This results in coins that weigh differently, appear slightly off in size, or have odd coloring due to a different metal mix. These are extremely rare, and their value can skyrocket. High-grade condition, mint state. Let's not forget condition. Most pennies you find in circulation are scratched, dinged, or worn down. But if you have a 1966 penny that has never been circulated, a coin that looks like it was struck yesterday, then you're sitting on something truly special. Collectors call these mint state coins, and the higher the grade, like MS66, MS67, or higher, the more valuable it becomes. A small difference in surface quality can mean thousands of dollars in value, and let's not ignore the human connection. Every coin tells a story. The 1966 Lincoln penny passed through hands during a turbulent decade, maybe dropped into jukeboxes playing Beatles records, maybe given as a tip at a corner diner, maybe placed in a soldier's pocket before heading off to war. These aren't just coins, they're witnesses of history, but what if you're lucky enough to find a rare version of this penny? How do you know if your 1966 penny is valuable? First, check for errors, doubling, misstrikes, or odd edges. Second, weigh the coin. If it's lighter or heavier than the standard 3.11 grams, you might have a rare wrong planchet strike. Third, check its shine and luster. The closer to mint condition, the better. And finally, get it professionally graded by a trusted service like PCGS or NGC. A small fee for authentication and grading can help you unlock the true value of your coin, because here's the truth that surprises many people: not all treasure is buried underground. Sometimes it's hiding in plain sight. Maybe it's in your pocket, maybe it's in an old piggy bank, maybe it's in a dusty jar in your grandparents' attic, and maybe, just maybe, it's a 1966 Lincoln penny that holds a secret no one has noticed yet. So now, the question you've been waiting for: what is the highest known value ever recorded for a 1966 Lincoln penny? One extremely rare example, featuring a spectacular mint error and preserved in nearly flawless condition, was auctioned off for an astounding total of $70,000. Yes, $70,000 for a single 1-cent coin, and this isn't a myth or a collector's rumor, it's real. Coins like this have made people rethink everything they thought they knew about small change. So the next time you spot a penny on the ground, don't just walk past it. Take a closer look. Because that tiny copper coin might just be your golden ticket. Today, we dive deep into one of the most fascinating and often overlooked coins in American history, the United States 1-cent Lincoln penny from the year 1976. Yes, that small copper-colored coin lying quietly in a change jar, tucked into a drawer, or dropped on the street could actually be worth more than what most people earn in a year. What makes this specific penny so interesting? Why is the 1976 version suddenly becoming a hot topic among collectors and historians alike? And how could you be holding a coin in your hands right now that's worth tens of thousands of dollars without even realizing it? Let's unravel the mystery. The Lincoln cent, first minted in 1909, is the longest-running coin design in U.S. history. It was introduced to commemorate the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, becoming the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, and not just any person, but the man many consider to be the greatest American president of all time. Fast forward to the 1970s, and America is undergoing major cultural and economic shifts. 1976 was a milestone year, the United States bicentennial, the nation's 200th birthday. While quarters, half dollars, and dollar coins were redesigned to reflect patriotic imagery celebrating 2 centuries of independence, the humble Lincoln penny kept its traditional appearance. But that doesn't mean the 1976 penny was any less significant. In fact, 1976 Lincoln pennies were minted in 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Each mint had unique production characteristics, and the coins bore mint marks to identify their origin: no mint mark for Philadelphia, D for Denver, and an S for San Francisco. Most circulated pennies came from the first 2, while proof coins, with incredibly high-quality strikes and mirror-like surfaces, came from San Francisco. But here's where things get really exciting: among the billions of 1976 Lincoln pennies produced, yes, billions, there are a few that are unlike the rest. These rare pennies were either struck with major mint errors, struck on the wrong planchet, or preserved in such astonishingly perfect condition that their value has skyrocketed in the collector's market. So how do you spot one? Let's break down the kinds of rare 1976 pennies that are selling for massive amounts of money today. Point 1. Double Die Obverse, DDO, errors. One of the most sought-after mistakes in coin collecting is the double die error. If you closely examine the inscriptions like, "In God We Trust," or "Liberty," and notice that the letters appear to have a shadow or are doubled slightly, you may have a double die coin. These are highly collectible and can fetch thousands depending on clarity and condition. Point 2. Off-center strikes. Coins that were misaligned when struck show dramatic errors where parts of the design are missing. In some cases, Lincoln's face might be shifted completely off to one side. These off-center coins are incredibly eye-catching, and extremely desirable among error coin collectors. Point 3. Wrong planchet errors. Some 1976 Lincoln pennies were accidentally struck on planchets meant for other coins, such as dimes or foreign currency. These coins are typically the wrong weight, may appear slightly undersized, and could have unusual coloration. A wrong planchet Lincoln penny can be worth tens of thousands of dollars because of its rarity. 4. Clipped planchets. When the metal sheets used for coins are punched improperly, it results in curved or crescent-shaped clips missing from the coin's edge. These mint mistakes are hard to fake and are extremely collectible, especially when paired with clear date and mint marks. 5. High-grade mint state coins. Most Lincoln pennies go through heavy circulation and quickly lose their sharp details. But a few rare examples have been kept in pristine condition since the day they were struck, never circulated, never touched by bare hands, and stored under ideal conditions. Coins like these can be graded by professional services such as PCGS or NGC and receive designations like MS66, MS67, or even MS68. The higher the grade, the higher the value, exponentially. Now, if you're sitting there wondering if your 1976 penny could be worth something, here are a few tips to check right at home. Weigh the coin. A standard 1976 Lincoln penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If your coin weighs less or more, you may have a rare wrong planchet error. Use a magnifying glass to inspect the letters and numbers for doubling. Check the surface quality. A clean, bright, sharp penny with no scratches or marks might be mint state quality. Look for any unusual edges, clips, or shifts in design. Compare your coin to images of verified error coins online or consult a professional grading service. You might be surprised at just how many people have stumbled upon valuable coins by accident, sometimes in pocket change, old rolls of pennies from the bank, or even coins handed down from a grandparent's collection. The 1976 Lincoln penny may look simple, but it holds a deeper story, one that speaks of history, craftsmanship, and sometimes, incredible fortune. Let's not forget, this was a bicentennial year, a year of deep pride for Americans and a symbolic time for collectors. While other denominations received flashy redesigns for 1976, the Lincoln cent remained grounded, quietly representing stability, consistency, and timeless legacy. But perhaps the real reason this coin is so valuable lies in its quiet nature, the idea that something so small, so easily overlooked, could secretly be so extraordinary. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. You're probably asking yourself, okay, but how much could one of these rare 1976 Lincoln pennies really be worth? One rare example of a 1976 penny, struck with a unique error and preserved in spectacular, gem-quality mint state condition, recently sold in the collector's market for an unbelievable amount, a grand total of $90,000. Yes, $90,000 for a single penny. So go check your pockets. Look through that old coin jar. Take a second look at the pennies that pass through your hands every day. Because in a world full of hidden treasures, the 1-cent coin from 1976 might just be your next big discovery. Today, we take you on a thrilling journey into the story of a coin that millions of people handled without ever knowing its true worth, the 1981 Lincoln 1-cent penny. It's small. It's copper-colored. It's the coin that many people ignore, drop on the sidewalk, or toss into a tip jar without a second thought. But this one, the 1981 Lincoln penny with mint mark, might just be the key to unlocking a fortune you never imagined. Every coin has a story. And the 1981 Lincoln cent is no exception. Let's begin by stepping back into 1981, a year of change and challenge for the United States. Ronald Reagan had just taken office, MTV was about to change pop culture forever, and personal computers were starting to enter American homes. It was a time of transformation, and even in the world of coins, subtle shifts were beginning to unfold. The Lincoln penny, a long-standing symbol of American heritage, had already become iconic since its first minting in 1909, commemorating the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. For decades, the penny carried the weight of history, and in 1981, that legacy continued with one last chapter of an era. Why do we say, last chapter? Because 1981 was the final full year that the Lincoln penny was made using mostly copper. That's right. Until this point, the penny was struck primarily from a 95% copper composition. But starting in 1982, due to rising copper prices, the U.S. Mint made a drastic change, switching to a much cheaper composition of zinc coated in copper. That makes 1981 a turning point, the last breath of the true copper penny. And because of this, collectors started paying close attention to 1981 Lincoln cents. But not all of them are the same. In 1981, Lincoln pennies were minted at 3 different locations: the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, the Denver Mint, marked with a D, and the San Francisco Mint, with an S, where proof coins were made. Each mint produced millions, even billions, of pennies that year. But only a small handful were struck with extraordinary errors, or preserved in nearly flawless condition, making them incredibly rare and extremely valuable. Let's uncover what makes a 1981 Lincoln penny so special. There are a few key reasons why collectors are chasing these coins. 1. The last true copper pennies. As mentioned earlier, the 1981 penny represents the end of an era. Most people don't know this, but collectors do. That copper content alone gives it added desirability, especially in high grades or pristine condition. Point 2. Minting errors that increase value during the minting process. Things don't always go as planned. And that's where value skyrockets. Some 1981 Lincoln pennies were struck with incredible mistakes. Let's look at a few. Double Die Obverse, DDO. You may notice doubled letters, particularly in Liberty or In God We Trust. These errors happened when the die used to strike the coin shifted slightly between strikes, resulting in doubled images. A crisp DDO can fetch thousands of dollars. Off-center strikes. If the coin wasn't properly aligned in the press, it may show part of the design missing or off the edge. Depending on how off-center the strike is, and if the date is still visible, these coins can be extremely desirable. Clipped planchets. If a coin is missing a curved piece along the edge, it may have been clipped during production. These errors are difficult to fake and are hot among collectors. Wrong planchet strikes. Imagine finding a penny that was accidentally struck on a dime or foreign coin planchet. These rarities are real and have sold for jaw-dropping prices. Point 3. Proof and high-grade coins. Proof coins minted in San Francisco were never meant for circulation. They're known for their mirror-like surfaces and stunning details. But even business strike coins, from Philadelphia and Denver, can become extremely valuable if they survive in exceptional condition. Professional grading companies like PCGS and NGC grade coins from MS60, mint state, all the way up to MS70, which is a perfect coin. A 1981 Lincoln penny graded MS67 or higher is incredibly rare and highly sought after. So how can you tell if your 1981 penny is one of the rare gems? Start by doing these simple checks. Use a magnifying glass to examine the date, letters, and Lincoln's image. Look for doubling or strong strike details. Check the coin's edges and surfaces for any unusual clips or off-center images. If you own a scale, weigh the coin. A copper penny should weigh 3.11 grams. If it weighs significantly more or less, it could be an error coin. Examine the coin's condition. Is the surface shiny and free of nicks or scratches? The better the condition, the higher the potential value. Still unsure? The best way to find out is to send your coin to a professional grading service. Once graded and certified, your coin's true market value can be determined, and that's where the magic happens. You might be wondering, how much can one of these 1981 Lincoln pennies really be worth? Well, let's just say, while most pennies are worth just a cent, some rare examples have sold for far more, enough to turn heads and shock even experienced collectors. Recently, a 1981 Lincoln penny with mint mark, preserved in extraordinary mint state condition and featuring a remarkable die error, stunned the numismatic world when it sold at a high-end auction. The price, a mind-blowing $91,000. That's right. $91,000 for a single Lincoln penny from 1981. And it could happen to anyone. A lucky collector. A curious thrift shopper. Even someone cleaning out an old desk drawer or cash box. You never know where the next rare penny might turn up. So before you ignore that next penny you find in your change or toss it into a coin jar, take a second look. It might just be one of the rarest and most valuable coins of its generation. The 1981 Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It's a window into American history, a symbol of craftsmanship, and a potential treasure that could change your life forever. Today, we're diving deep into the story of a coin that many people overlook, but collectors around the world are desperately hunting for, the 1971 Lincoln 1-cent penny with mint mark. At first glance, it's just a simple penny. Small, copper-colored, and familiar to anyone who's ever held American change. But hidden within certain 1971 Lincoln cents is a rare magic that transforms it from spare change into a collector's dream, and possibly even a ticket to financial freedom. Let's begin by going back in time to the year 1971. America was in the middle of a powerful era. The Vietnam War continued, the Apollo space missions were redefining our understanding of the universe, and the music scene was bursting with soul, rock, and revolutionary ideas. In the world of currency, the U.S. Mint continued to produce billions of coins, including the humble penny. But little did they know, a small number of those coins would become some of the most valuable ever discovered. The Lincoln penny, first introduced in 1909, had already become a staple of American currency by 1971. Featuring the iconic profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, it symbolized more than just money, it represented honor, heritage, and the everyday strength of the American spirit. But in 1971, not all Lincoln pennies were created equal. That year, the U.S. Mint struck Lincoln cents at 3 locations: the Philadelphia Mint, with no mint mark, the Denver Mint, marked with a D, and the San Francisco Mint, marked with an S, mostly producing proof coins. Each of these mints produced millions, even billions, of coins. But some of them were far from ordinary. A small number contained minting errors, off-metal strikes, or were preserved in such pristine condition that their value would eventually skyrocket. Now you might be asking, what makes a 1971 Lincoln penny special? Let's explore the secrets that lie beneath its copper surface. Point 1. Composition matters. Most 1971 pennies were made of 95% copper and 5% zinc. Each coin weighed about 3.11 grams. This copper-heavy composition makes the coin feel more substantial than today's pennies, which were changed to zinc cores in 1982. But what's even more intriguing? Some 1971 pennies may have been struck on foreign planchets, meaning they were accidentally minted on blanks intended for other coins, sometimes from other countries. These ultra-rare mistakes can command incredible prices from collectors. Point 2. Rare minting errors. Now let's talk about what truly excites coin collectors: errors. Double Die Obverse, DDO. One of the most famous errors found in some 1971 Lincoln pennies is the double die error. If you look closely at the words "Liberty" or "In God We Trust" and see doubling in the letters, you might be holding one of the most sought-after varieties. The doubling can sometimes be seen on the date as well, and if it's crisp and clear, the value of the coin shoots up dramatically. Off-center strikes. Imagine a coin where Lincoln's face is slightly off to one side, with a blank crescent showing on the edge. These coins, especially when the date is still fully visible, can be worth hundreds or thousands of dollars, depending on the degree of the misalignment. Clipped planchets. Occasionally, pennies are struck on blanks that weren't cut properly, resulting in a bite taken out of the coin. These clipped planchets are easy to spot and add significant value. Die cracks and cuds. Overused or damaged dies can create raised lines or blobs of metal on the coin. These imperfections, though small, are highly collectible. Point 3. Proof coins and high-grade specimens. The San Francisco Mint produced proof coins in 1971. These coins are made using polished dies and planchets to create a sharp, mirror-like finish. They were never meant for general circulation, and they come with that beautiful S mint mark. But even regular circulation coins, especially those from Denver or Philadelphia, can be worth a fortune if they've been well preserved. Coin grading is an essential part of understanding a coin's value. Coins are graded from poor, P1, all the way up to mint state 70, MS 70. The higher the grade, the better the condition, and the more valuable the coin becomes. For example, a 1971 penny graded MS 65 or higher is already rare. But if you find a 1971 penny with a major error and a high grade, that's when we start talking about serious money. Point 4. Rarity multiplies value. You might think, if they made so many, how can they be rare? Great question. Yes, the U.S. Mint produced a lot of pennies in 1971. But very few survived in flawless condition. Most coins went into circulation, suffered scratches, dings, and damage. Very few were stored, untouched, and kept in the kind of condition collectors desire. Combine that with the possibility of double dies, off-center strikes, or unusual blanks, and you've got the ingredients for a coin worth thousands, or even tens of thousands, of dollars. So what can you do? Check your change. Go through those old jars, drawers, and dusty boxes in the attic. Look for 1971 pennies with the D or S mint marks. Use a magnifying glass to spot errors. Weigh your coins if you have a digital scale. A weight different from 3.11 grams could point to something special, and most importantly, if you believe your coin might be valuable, consider sending it to a professional grading company like PCGS or NGC. Once graded, your coin could be listed at auction and fetch a price you never imagined possible. Still don't believe a penny could be that valuable? Well, let us share something incredible. One stunning 1971 Lincoln penny with mint mark, preserved in near-perfect condition and featuring a striking error, recently left collectors speechless at a high-profile coin auction. It didn't sell for a few hundred. It didn't sell for a few thousand. This coin, this tiny, copper penny, sold for a jaw-dropping total of $81,000. Yes, you heard that right, $81,000, all for a 1971 Lincoln penny. And the best part? These rare coins aren't locked away in museums or vaults. Some are still out there, sitting quietly in pocket change, resting in jars, or waiting to be discovered by someone just like you. So next time you're handed a penny, take a moment. Look at the date. Check the mint mark. You might just be holding one of the rarest and most valuable coins of the modern era, and if you find one, well, your penny just became your passport to a small fortune. Today, we're diving into another thrilling discovery from the world of rare U.S. coins, a small piece of copper that might be lying in your old jar, tucked in a box in your attic, or even sitting quietly in your pocket change, and it could be worth an unbelievable fortune. We're talking about the 1967 Lincoln 1-cent penny with mint mark, a coin that millions of people have ignored for decades, but which, under the right conditions, could transform into a collector's dream. It's more than just 1 cent, it's history, mystery, and possibly, your financial breakthrough. Let's begin by taking you back to the year 1967. It was a time of massive change and powerful moments in the United States. The Vietnam War was in full swing, young people were marching in the streets for civil rights and peace, and America was preparing for its monumental journey to the moon. In the middle of this incredible social and political wave, the United States Mint quietly continued its everyday work, producing the coins that kept the country's economy flowing. Among those coins, the Lincoln cent was still reigning strong. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, the penny had become a symbol of American pride and economic trust, but the 1967 penny, oh, that one was a little different. To the naked eye, the 1967 penny may look like just another coin. It has the same familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, and on the reverse, the iconic Lincoln Memorial, standing proud and detailed. But there's something strange you might notice right away. This penny has no mint mark. Why? Here's where the story gets interesting. In the mid-1960s, the U.S. Mint was facing a coin shortage. People were hoarding coins, and the demand was outpacing supply. To solve this, the Mint took a bold step. It temporarily removed all mint marks from coins between 1965 and 1967. Even though these coins were struck at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints, none of them carry a mint mark. That's right, whether it came from Denver or Philly, the 1967 penny looks the same on the surface, but beneath that simple appearance lies a world of hidden value. Even though the Mint removed mint marks to discourage collectors, some error coins still slipped through. And these rare variations are what have sent the value of some 1967 Lincoln pennies into the stratosphere. Let's uncover what makes these coins so special and what you should be looking for. First, the composition. The 1967 Lincoln cent was made of 95% copper and 5% zinc, just like most pennies produced between 1909 and 1982. Each coin weighs approximately 3.11 grams, making them feel much more substantial than modern pennies, which are made mostly of zinc. Now, when you're examining a 1967 penny, it's all about condition and error types. What do we mean by condition? Well, In the coin collecting world, the quality of a coin is graded using a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being perfect, flawless condition. Most coins from 1967 that were used in circulation are scratched, worn, or even slightly bent. But if you find a coin in mint state, MS, condition, especially MS 65 or higher, that's when collectors start to take serious interest. But what really makes these coins stand out are the errors, and 1967 had more than a few. 1. Double Die Obverse, DDO. These are coins where the die that struck the front of the coin was misaligned or used more than once. This can cause visible doubling in the letters, numbers, or even Lincoln's profile. Imagine seeing "To, in God We Trust" inscription slightly offset. That's not a mistake in your vision, it's a real error, and it's incredibly valuable. Point 2. Off-center strikes. Some 1967 pennies were struck off-center, meaning the die hit the blank planchet in the wrong position. If a coin is 20% to 60% off-center, and the date is still visible, it becomes a desirable error. Collectors pay top dollar for these unique, eye-catching pieces. Point 3. Die breaks and cracks, aka CUDS. These are coins that were struck with a damaged or broken die. This causes raised areas, strange lines, or blobs on the surface of the coin. While they may seem like defects, these CUDS are actually rare minting flaws that make the coin even more collectible. Point 4. Struck on foreign planchets. There have been reports of 1967 pennies being struck on planchets meant for other coins, for example, dimes or foreign currency blanks. These coins will weigh less, or more, appear thinner or smaller, or have unusual color tones. These kinds of mistakes can be worth thousands on their OWN.SO. You might ask, how do I know if I have one of these special coins? Well, here's your checklist. Check the date, make sure it's 1967. Look closely with a magnifier at the letters, numbers, and Lincoln's face for doubling. Examine the coin's edges. Off-center strikes are easy to notice. Weigh the coin. It should be exactly 3.11 grams. Anything else may indicate an off-metal strike. Study the surface. Unusual raised lines, bumps, or blobs may be signs of a valuable error. And one more piece of advice: condition is king. If your coin looks shiny, untouched, or close to brand new, especially if it has a mint error, then you're potentially holding a serious piece of treasure. Here's what makes it even more exciting: these coins are not locked away in bank vaults. They're not in museums. They're still circulating, still being discovered by ordinary people just like you. People have found valuable 1967 pennies in change from grocery stores, in old piggy banks, in inherited coin jars, and even in antique shops. And when the right coin, a rare 1967 Lincoln penny in mint state with a striking error, hits the market, collectors go wild. At a recent coin auction, one such 1967 penny stunned everyone. It featured a clean double die error, incredible mint luster, and near-perfect preservation. Bidding was fierce. People in the room knew exactly how rare it was, and they were willing to pay top dollar for it. And when the final hammer fell, that one little copper coin sold for an astonishing total of $98,000. Yes, that's $98,000 for a 1-cent coin. And here's the best part: it could happen again. Maybe next time, it will be your coin. So don't overlook those pennies. Take a moment to study your 1967 Lincoln cents. One tiny detail could mean the difference between ordinary change and life-changing treasure. Thanks for watching, and if you found this story fascinating, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. We're just getting started with amazing coin stories that could change your life. Your next great discovery might be just one penny away.